Another big problem is what we call Goodman's induction problem, and this will be the last thing we talk about today. So there's Hume's, and then there's Goodman's. There's Hampel's, which said, oh, you know what? There's more into here. This probability sort of thing, it has problems. And Goodman's induction problem even bets higher, because Goodman, being let's say, I don't know, 250 years later than Hume, he even raises the bets. He raises the stakes. For him, the problem of Hume can be even made worse. The way he can make it worse is in the following example, and I will repeat exactly his example. It involves some trickery though, so if it's a little bit tricky, if you just stay with me and then take it slowly, I'll try to explain it in the best way as possible. You will follow the text on slide 17. So here's Goodman's example. He says an object is GRU. We're going to define a new property now. We're going to create something new. What is this new thing? It's GRU. What does it mean to be GRU? It means you are green before New Year's Eve and 2025. We are today 11/12. So we are before. Being green before New Year's Eve is called GRU, as long as you change afterwards. So let's say I have a car. It's green now. New Year's Eve, I paint it blue. I can say this is GRU because it has changed the color after New Year's Eve. We can pick any other time, by the way, time t, right? So something being green before New Year's Eve and being blue after New Year's Eve, this is the new property called GRU. Now, I'm observing a bunch of weird emeralds today. They've fallen from space, and I want to see what they're about. A huge quantity of them has fallen, a big meteor. And I'm observing all of them one by one, and I say, wait, they're all green. But I can also say they are all GRU. Why? Because being green before New Year's Eve qualifies as GRU. So Hume's problem stops here. Hume's problem says observing a few emeralds without seeing all of them and generalizing to saying all emeralds are green, or the next emerald I'm going to say is green, that's a problem. Goodman takes it a step further. He says you can take it into two different senses. You can define this new thing called GRU, which changes in the future. And you can say that observing a bunch of green emeralds today could be taken as evidence that they will change color in the future. But this is a disaster.
I guess I don't follow that.
Okay.
I mean, it seems to me, I'm just looking at that and I'm saying, well, first of all, that is the question, I suppose, of whether an object has to be either green or GRU.
It doesn't. That's exactly what the problem is. It could be both.
Yeah,
we have
right.
no
So
idea.
that's part of the problem. But the other problem is I don't see how you could possibly have, say that observing something that's green today. Yeah, I mean, I see the problem here, but it strikes me you have no evidence for GRU until you have some evidence that something changed, right? You have to have at least, it has to at least be in the past that you have seen that object be green and then be blue afterwards. But I
Well,
mean, I'm getting the problem.
that's why like I say at the outset that science is a faith in that you believe what's happening will persist in the future, and you can say that you can believe the opposite, that what you observe today will not persist in the future. That's another's faith, and or go to the opposite. You can say that, I mean, whatever you observe, whether you observe zero will persist in the future as zero, or you can have a faith that whether you observe as zero will persist, will not persist, will switch to 1. That's another faith. So that's why science is a faith. Because you believe that it will persist. That's the point.
Well, and if I could just get back, I mean, I'm just looking at your statement. An object is GRU when, whatever that means, quote, it is green if observed before New Year's Eve and blue afterwards. So until you have both of those things, it's not GRU.
But you have no idea, John, before the fact. And
Well, I know,
let me tell you where the big problem is.
But the very definition of
Yeah,
GRU says green before and blue afterwards.
I see. The
Yeah,
choice
well,
of
the thing is,
green.
I think.
Sorry, Hansen, go ahead.
Okay, I think the statement isn't very clear, but I think I get what the authors or whatever Goodman is trying to get at, induction problem. I have never seen this statement before. I don't know what Goodman's induction problem is, but I think I can't surmise. I can see what he's trying to get at, but it's not a logic problem. If you to define a problem, define an object as GRU, you have to wait till after New Year's Eve to define it. But the question here is to predict what it's going to do after New Year's Eve 2025, and
Here's
right. Or am I wrong?
no, you're absolutely. And here's where the real problem is. Because we've been hiding behind semantics all day. If you notice, with the Raven problem, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, because I just came in, but I think that's also not a very well stated logical statement. The not yeah there is a little. I think that's what you refer to as semantic problem, and so previously, prior, the underlying prior is that whatever you observe now will persist in the future. That is actually the premise of science, and so but you can equally assert your belief that it will turn to something else, the opposite in the future. And that's also a faith. But the two faiths are equivalent, and so you choose one to be science. You choose the first one, that persistence, to be science, and but that's just faith. There's no whatever. Yeah. So
here's the issue. The choice of having the property green, and then the difficulty John and probably many others as well are facing, accepting this GRU definition. It depends on time, dude. What kind of definition is that, right? Like what is it? You created something fake, and now you're kind of criticizing science with it. Like, what is this? It's completely an arbitrary choice to have green and blue. So green stays forever and blue stays forever. That's arbitrary. If I had in my language, initially, in a parallel universe, if I had the properties GRU and bleen, so I have GRU, it changes from green to blue, and bleen that changes from blue to green. Then I can use those to define green and blue relative to time. So it's a matter of complete arbitrary choice. Whether you live in the universe that has green and blue forever, and then you define GRU with it, or you live in the universe that has bleen and glue, right? And then you use to define green and blue. Completely arbitrary choice. We just happen to choose the world where green and blue are the standard go-to. So if I were to rephrase that problem in a different universe, green will be the odd word. It's like, what? Green depends on time? What are you talking about? I don't want that. No, give me GRU. I know GRU. I'm comfortable with GRU. So that's the real problem here, that I cannot escape easily. That it's an arbitrary choice. If you're not happy with GRU, it's an arbitrary choice that we are happy with green. And then this means that until time t happens, I have no way to distinguish between something that is green forever and GRU, because induction justifies both equally. The premise that says this emerald, this weird object, will stay green forever, and the other premise that says this emerald will change color after time t. Since time t hasn't happened yet, the piece of emerald I have in my hand is both, 100% equally valid evidence for both.
Well, so I mean, I guess I would just say, I mean, I think there's just all sorts of, as we've already established, there's just semantic problems, but I don't have any trouble with the definition of GRU as long as it's something that we understand. We simply can't tell. I mean, an object that was green before and was blue afterwards, is properly a GRU object, right? I can't look at an object and tell that it's GRU, but I can determine whether an object is GRU after New Year's.
That's the problem. That time t, it could be any time. I chose New Year's Eve this year. It could be next year, could be 20 years from now, could be the next minute. We have no idea.
Yeah, okay. But I see. But that seems to me like somehow that's kind of a second order thing. I mean, if I just said after New Year 2024, does that solve the problem and now we're completely happy?
Well, if you say 2024, it's already done. So
Well,
so
yeah,
you can say, yeah, the things that have changed color and we remember them, that's another problem. Now you're going back to the past. Do you rely on your memory, right? But let's accept that. Then you can say, oh, we've determined they are GRU, and we've determined that they are green. Now I can ask you again, that blue thing that you have, you've seen it, that it was green and it has turned into blue. This New Year's, will it stay blue or will it turn back?
Doesn't matter.
It does. Kind of does.
I see what you're saying. See, because I said if it was green. I mean, once again, this just all seems like semantics, but it was green before New Year's 2024, and it was blue afterwards, but not forever afterwards, just afterwards.
This is the problem. This is the problem with induction.
Well,
right? This is exactly the problem.
I'm just seeing it as a problem only with semantics. I'm still not sure I understand.
Oh, come on. Even the Hampel one? Forget about this one. This one, you're not convinced because you want to be minimalist. And you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to wait until time t, which you don't know, by the way. You have no idea beforehand. So you will just wake up one day and it will change.
Is this the I can't remember whose this was. I'm not looking at it now. Is this the problem that we're looking at now is a problem that does always have the time thing in it? Is that because the Hampel thing I get, that one I'm
yeah, so this one is Goodman's.
I don't find this
Goodman's
one compelling
induction.
somehow.
You don't find it compelling? I beg to differ.
Compelling.
I think this one is much more dangerous.
Maybe that's because I don't find it compelling, right? That'd be pretty dangerous if it should be.
It's not about finding it compelling or not. Let's revisit the premise of induction. The premise of induction says, when you make enough observation of the past, you should be able to have enough information to predict the future. And this is what we do every time we build a building, every time we send a rocket to space, every time you take a pill to heal your headache. Because you've made enough observations in the past, you are predicting the future with it. Now, this is Hume's problem. Goodman's problem says, you have no idea, not only but what will happen in the future, but you cannot tell the difference between properties that you have access to, properties that you have names for, and the properties you don't have names for yet. You're just ignorant here, and whatever observation you're making could be interpreted in many, many different ways because the future hasn't happened yet. Is this version better, John? I'm not sure. I'm trying my best. Anyone else, by the way? This is the last thing we're going to talk about today. So the floor is open for all your questions. Probably we're going to make a quick summary, and then let's have, let's say, 10, 15 minutes of discussion. But about this first, if the Goodman problem is clear, and about anything else, if you want.
Hi, can I ask you a question?